the crown. So it's a whole bunch of work.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, we're nearly there.
Okay.
Let's sort it. We're all having really difficulties.
I'm just going to say this. In 2 days, Canelo's supposed to be fighting Triple G. You don't really see a lot of talk on, like, there's discussion about it, but it's not as if it's 2 days away type of discussion.
A lot of talk.
Okay, we're live now.
Okay.
Hello, people. Welcome to Main Event Boxing Talk. I'm your host, Nathan, and I've got my co-hosts with me, Tom and Spencer. Hello, guys.
What's going on?
You all right?
So,
yeah.
I wanted to suggest, if you guys haven't heard, but Errol Spence and Crawford have agreed to fight in Vegas in December.
Yeah, that's massive.
Wait, that just dropped?
Yeah. It's right here on, in Las Vegas, November 19th, actually. That's only a month away, really.
Yeah. Well, 2 months because it's September.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking we're in October. But that's right. They agreed, and this was Crawford agreed to the terms from Spencer's advisor, Al Heyman, and will be getting the smaller split rather than the 50-50 one he wanted. There is a bilateral rematch clause, which means we're going to see a second fight between the two champions.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. ESPN is reporting the news about the deal being agreed upon. With that said, neither fighter has signed off on the deal as it's being checked out by their lawyers. So that's where we're at.
Hey, that's better news than it's been.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's good news. That also makes the question, who's going to win,
I mean, I like Bud. I think Bud is better than Errol Spence.
Yeah, I definitely think he is. In terms of boxing ability.
Yeah.
But not power.
No, that might be one thing Errol has. He may be a bit stronger.
He is.
But he can still box. He's still a very good boxer as we've seen him against Garcia.
Errol Spence is a great boxer. It's not that. It's just that I think that Bud is a little bit better than him, and he does a little bit more in the ring than Errol Spence does.
I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's that much, but he's just got that little bit extra, I believe. Yeah.
Again, like I said, it's like little things. Like he could fight from both sides of the he could fight from both sides equally well. Like he could fight moving backwards. He could fight, being a pressure fighter a little bit. He could counter. He could be the aggressor. So it's like so many things that he could do that it's kind of hard to like have a game plan to stop him.
Well, Errol Spence has tremendous stamina. He's an excellent boxer, but you're right. He doesn't possess all those tools, but the size could be the equalizer here. But usually, the guys that he fights, like when he fought Benavidez, he was outsized and was still able to take him out. He was outsized by Hillbrook. So he found a way. Whether he can do that with Spence, we'll have to see. But they're both very durable, and it's going to be who can be the smarter fighter, I think.
Yeah.
Boxer.
I'm just glad that it's supposed to happen. Now we just gotta wait for Tank and Ryan Garcia to be announced.
Whatever. We'll see what happens with him.
Next in the news, you got Joshua has apparently they're 90% done, where he's going to fight Tyson Fury for the WBC title. I think this is a good fight, but it's a silly move on part of Joshua's team. He should get better advisors. This is a bad advice.
Nah, I don't think so. Let me go with this first and address that. First of all, Joshua's stock has dropped, right? So if he's going to fight Fury and make a lot of money, now's the time to do it because he's also in shape right now. He really didn't take a beating in that fight.
Yeah.
He didn't take a beating, and he's pretty fresh from that fight. He doesn't have to train that hard. So it makes sense because Fury has been out of the ring for a while. But the timing is good for Fury because he has to wait for Usyk anyway.
Yeah, but it also means he gets a Joshua who's low on confidence and Joshua has nothing to lose and everything to gain in this fight. You know, Fury's the one the pressure's on Fury.
That could make him more dangerous.
Exactly. I was just about to add that, Tom. AJ has nothing to lose, so we might see the best AJ we've seen yet.
Look,
and it's a rival, you know, like a big rival. He kind of like wants to step up for the rival.
If he loses this fight, they're going to have to go back to the beginning again. They're going to have to do it the right way. In my opinion, that he should fuck the other trainers off. Go with Diaz. Go to America for 6 months. Train with Diaz full time. Come back, have a couple of early fights. It's a proven method. This method, by going and getting the third knockout, great. It's great to have the money, but we're talking about longevity here. If he does it the proper way, he can pick up a top and rebuild himself, rather than, you know, it's going to take him a good 2 years to rebuild back up to a title shot again if he loses this.
He cannot risk a loss to a lower contender. He can't. Right now, he put up a good fight with Usyk. You know, he almost pulled it out. His stock dropped, but not dropped that much. Now's the time to make a fight for big money with Fury.
I do believe these 2 losses will make Joshua a better fighter. For those losses, he will be a better fighter for those losses, in my opinion. You know, I know that sounds silly, but when you lose a fight, if you learn from it, like Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is a bad example, but you know what I mean. Anyway.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree with AJ taking the fight. I wish Usyk took the fight instead, so that we could have hurried up and got Undisputed out the way, and then all that other stuff could have happened. But Usyk decided he didn't want to fight in December. He's going to fight.
Right, but
he's injured, isn't he?
February to let his hands heal. But on the other side of this, he wants the winner of the Wilder-Helenius fight.
But Wilder's not fighting him next. Wilder's going to fight Ruiz. So.
Oh, wait a minute. When did that change up? I thought he was fighting Helenius.
He's going to fight Helenius, but if he beats Helenius, he's going to fight Ruiz. Yeah. That was the plan.
Well, what if he gets a shot at the title?
Usyk, they could possibly offer Wilder some money, but it would have to be on a PBC card. Usyk would have to probably fight on, right? So that means that they would have to deal with Eddie Hearn. It's possible they could get a Saudi deal with Usyk in it, but I think the Saudi stuff happened because of AJ, not really because of Usyk.
Wilder could bring seats to that fight. He could bring a lot of seats to that fight.
Yeah, without question. But Wilder, his team is going to want Wilder, since it'll be in America. It'll be on Wilder's pay-per-view. Wilder's going to want at least 50% of the money. I'm not sure if Usyk and company is going to want to give him that. That's what I would envision. I hope he will fight Usyk after he fights Helenius. You know, I hope they're open to that. I mean, I've heard Wilder recently mentioned that he's going to fight AJ before he retires too. So, you know, there's a lot of talk of a lot of things going on. Usyk at first said, no Fury, no fight. He's going to retire if he can't get Fury. But then now Fury said, I'm going to fight AJ if you're not ready in December. So he's like, all right, well, I'll fight Wilder if you're not ready. So it's just like it's going to delay the Undisputed even longer.
You know what? As much as I like this WBC final eliminator, I don't want to see Wilder get another shot. I don't want to see a full fight. Nobody wants to see it. We want an Undisputed title. The way they're carrying them, the belts will be splintered again like in 2017.
So you think Wilder's the second best heavyweight out there?
No, I don't think he is. No, he may be the third best heavyweight out there, third or fourth.
Because we obviously know Fury's better than him, so Fury would be the top.
Number 1, number 2 would be Usyk. Number 3 would be Wilder. Number 4, I'd put Ruiz. I even believe Ruiz. You could put him in there. That's just my opinion. He's made a case for himself.
Yeah, maybe fourth. I don't necessarily know if you could put Ruiz above AJ yet.
I don't think
I'll
so.
tell you one guy who we're sleeping on, Makhmedov. You've heard of Makhmedov, haven't you? He's fighting Carlos Takis. He's one guy everyone has slept on. No one is talking about this guy. You know,
Well,
you watch him this weekend.
He's got to have some dramatic wins against contenders, and then people will talk about
He's good. He looks very good from what I've seen of him. And then you've got the Jared Andersons coming up. You've got the next generation coming up. You know, you still got the old.
That's at least
Martin.
away of 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Jared Anderson.
And then you've got Jarrell Miller on the outskirts of the top 15, I'd say. You know, there's a lot of guys hanging around there that haven't been proven yet. And then you've got who's that other guy? You've got Joe Joyce. You've got another guy who's
Saying
the Congolese guy. That Congolese guy. Makabu's brother. You know who I mean? Makabu's brother. Not Makabu. What's his fucking name? His brother's.
Bacoli?
Yeah. Bacoli. People like this, you know. All these outside.
Yeah, then you got Hunter versus Huey Fury winner. They're gonna be a contender. I mean, they're gonna get a title shot soon. I mean, the heavyweight division is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But then you have to look at Michael Hunter, even though he got a draw with Vernon Forrest. Not Vernon. This Forrest, not Vernon.
Jerry Forrest.
Jerry Forrest.
He's dead. Yeah, Jerry Forrest has a habit of making good fighters look very bad. So you know, I don't see much into that. Take too much into that draw.
Well, I'm sorry. This is what I'm saying. That's why it makes sense for AJ to make the fight with Fury at this point. Yeah. And those other guys like Ruiz, he fought King Kong, but except for those guys, Ortiz was controlling the fight.
At this moment in time, I believe John Ruiz, I forgot to say it. Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz, and people like that are good enough to beat Anthony Joshua at this current time. Any of those guys could beat him right now.
That's why, as Tom was saying, this is the perfect time for him to fight Fury. You don't want him to risk going trying to rebuild and then wound up losing or not looking good again in one of these rebuilding fights that's not really making him money. He might as well go for the $40 million or whatever he's going to get to fight Fury. If he looks good, then he could fight another day. If he don't, he just made $40 million and he could retire with. He doesn't made like $200 million.
Yeah, but he won't want his career to end on a loss. He wouldn't want to walk away from a loss. He would come back. And
if he don't beat Fury, he could always fight White in a rematch and retire on it.
Joshua, and you look at heavyweight champions I put myself on camera, of the last 25 years. He lacks something, a Lennox Lewis, an Ali, a Tyson Fury. He lacks some sort of mental edge. There's something mentally, he just doesn't have it. I don't know what it is. Do you agree with that? There's something missing from his game, from his mental stuff. It's like mentally he hasn't got it. But physically, I don't understand it.
We've seen it a couple of times. We saw it in the first fight with Ruiz. We saw it with Usyk
in the Pullman fight.
But in this fight, when Usyk came out in the 10th round, Joshua just folded. He became aggressive and he just folded, rather than toughness and just fight him back.
It's like he's lost the will for a dogfight. It's like when anything gets tough, he doesn't want to do it anymore. If you don't.
Yeah, I could go with he doesn't really know how to respond when it's a dog fight. I could say that. When he fought Vladimir, if for whatever reason Vladimir didn't put his foot on the gas, but he kind of was out at one point in that fight. He kind of gave up, was tired. It could have been due to inexperience because he was, relatively still young in the championship title fights. Yeah. But Vladimir kind of gave him a gift by not putting pressure on him when he could.
I don't think Joshua winning the title so early in his career did him any favors. I think it did the reverse.
It did his bank account a bunch of favors.
No, but it did. But I'm saying as the way he fights his progression, it didn't do him any favors. Winning the easy world title doesn't do you any favors.
Yeah, but you got to think Joshua is, in my opinion, he was as good as he was going to be. They might as well have marketed him and made as much as they can when they could, because he would have wound up being David Price or Audley Harrison or something if he would have not got that shot early.
If he'd not got the shot early, I don't think he would have won a world title at all, to be absolutely honest.
Well, he did. And he beat the man, who lost.
And he defended that title a bunch of times.
8 times, yeah, against the mandatories. He did what he was supposed to.
Yeah, so, like his resume is probably better than anybody's in the damn heavyweight division right now.
It is. But we also have to be honest about it.
He's number 3 right now. I put him at 3. And I put he's number 4.
Who's number 1? Fury?
Opinion Fury. Because he was the last unified champion right before he was.
I'll be back in a second. I just got to take a chicken out there.
Yeah, he was the last unified champion. He got it from the man who got it from the man who got it from the man, so on and so forth. But then he came back. He won the WBC title, and he's gone through a metamorphosis. We've seen more sides of him now. We've seen what Sugar Hill did with him. We see him take out Deontay Wilder in the second fight. We've seen him get up in the first fight from that hellacious knockdown. And again, in the third fight, twice, nobody should have got up from that right hand.
No.
His whole body went into shock. So,
yeah.
And look what he did recently, He looked great against White. He made White look silly and then knocked him out. So,
I mean, without Wilder on his resume, Fury and AJ's resume, I mean, like, they both got White on it. They both got Vladimir. AJ knocked out. He stopped Vladimir, and was willing to rematch Vladimir. Fury never, whatever the reasons why he didn't rematch him. So Vladimir didn't get a shot to redeem himself. With that, so they both they cancel each other out with White and Vladimir. But then AJ got Povetkin, Pulev, Usyk twice, Ruiz twice, Joseph Parker. I guess Takam. You can add Takam.
But you got to look at the fighter himself and how he fights, and the willpower. I'm not knocking AJ. I thought he's been a fine champion.
No. I think, let me not confuse what I'm saying. Fury's better than AJ, without question in my mind. I'm just saying that AJ's resume, like the contenders and the people that he's fought as far as the top guys, like when people try to discount AJ's career or whatever, they got to remember that he's fought top contenders and won against some of the top contenders. Not a lot of the guys can say the same thing.
That's right. But you know what? He never fought Wilder.
No, that's the one person that Wilder recently, like I was just mentioning in this latest interview I read, he's like, I gotta fight AJ before I retire because that's what the fans want to see, me versus AJ. And I'm like, yeah, that's always going to be a fight that not always, but it'll probably sell still as long as Fury don't like beat up AJ in like 1 or 2 rounds if they fight.
At this point, I have to say it's Usyk. I have to say it's Fury, Usyk, AJ. I would even take Wilder over Ruiz. That would be my top 5. I would for it, and then
I could agree with that.
That would be
Fury, Usyk, AJ, Wilder. And sad to say, but Ortiz is better than Ruiz. If it was not for Ortiz's age, because that's partly, I think, is what got him to fall, because his ass is old.
Legs are shot. That's the problem. His legs are shot.
Right. So, but other than that, like Ortiz was able to handle.
Right area soft. AJ, I'm sorry, Wilder made this area soft, and that's where Ruiz was knocking him down.
Yeah. That's. But Ruiz got some work to do, and I can't wait till in a couple of weeks we're about to see Joseph Parker versus Joe.
Can I give my opinion on the Ortiz fight?
Yes.
To me, obviously Ruiz is very inactive these days. Ortiz looked every inch his 60 years. His punch resistance is really gone. You know, he looks old. He looked old in there. His punch, he's still got the punches, but the punch resistance is gone. It's just not there anymore. You know, it's completely gone.
And he's slowed down a little bit too.
Just imagine.
He's throwing punches.
That's not. You're right. His punch resistance is gone. I'm laughing at the way y'all talking about him.
No, but he's like this old man who used to be good about 10 years ago. He's throwing a punch, he'll get hit, and he's like that. Like the way he just goes down, I'm just thinking you're going to lose to someone. How he didn't lose to Charles Martin, I'll never know. How he got back up.
Retired.
He was damn lucky, and the fact that Charles Martin was trapped in the ropes like a deer trying to escape. You know, it was like this.
Well, he did hurt him bad.
He did.
Should have called that fight sooner. Anyway, you know, we have a very big fight on Saturday we haven't talked about yet. Does anyone know what it is?
Listen, there's this report, right? I think it's on Forbes. They give like 3 reasons why Gennadi's going to win, and then 3 reasons why Canelo's going to win, right? So they like have countering points. Canelo's younger. Canelo's been at 168, so he's more acclimated to this weight. And Canelo wants to shut GGG up. He want to put him into retirement. Those are basically the 3 reasons why Canelo's going to win. The reasons why Gennady going to win is because he want to shut Canelo up and prove to everybody that he really won the fight. That's all of their reasonings is mainly him wanting revenge on Canelo, you know, like. But he's going to be at the heavier weight for the first time in his career. How will he adjust to moving with an extra 8 pounds on him? Well, he probably will be a tad bit slower, and he's aged a lot. I mean, he's aged a bit, so he's going to be slower than we've seen him in his last fight against Canelo, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to take it first, Nathan, and then I'll give my 2 cents?
Yeah, I think Canelo is going to win this comfortably. I think Triple G is old and tired. He's not the fighter he was 5 years ago. In his last fight, he struggled to beat Murata. Murata's not a world-class fighter. He's barely a world-class fighter. And also, the other things I've noticed, he's 40 now, and obviously his vision isn't what it was. You only lose you only lose a slight bit of your vision when you get to 40 as a fighter. He's still got his punch. As we know, it's the last thing to go, but I just think he hasn't got enough for Canelo. Canelo will walk forward. I think Canelo will stop him. That's what I believe this time.
Okay. All right. Well, here's how I see it. Number one, I don't think anybody's getting knocked out in this fight. Neither man has ever been down in their career. And Golovkin has a higher knockout percentage than Canelo does. So as far as power goes, I give a slight, even at this age, I give a slight power edge to Canelo. But here's the big difference. Canelo, since that fight, the second fight, his punch output has dropped. He's mainly fought the same way in every fight since, where except maybe for when he fought, what's his name, Danny
Jacobs,
yeah. But his modus operandi now is to walk you down, hit you on the arms, and then eventually score a hard punch to take you out. That's why he lost against Bivol. He hasn't changed that strategy for a long time. And I don't think he has the energy level now, maybe moving up and down in weight, to perform at the punch output he used to. So I think this is going to be a different fight. He's going to have to do differently. Even in training, you could see him doing the same thing. And I saw some guy sparring with him, and I forgot the name of the guy, who was actually kicking his ass before the Bivol fight. Just like Bivol was, pushing him back to the ropes, jabbing him, throwing from a distance. So Gennady has a great jab, and if he keeps his work rate up, and Gennady, I think, only threw maybe 4 body punches like in the whole first 2 fights. If he mixes up his attack and keeps busy and cuts off the ring, because Canelo likes to slide out to the left when Gennady's setting up his right, and he slides out. If he's training for that, for this new Canelo, it's going to be a different fight. I don't think he's going to walk over Canelo that easily. Now, as far as the Murata fight, yes, he looked rusty the first 3 rounds, and then he picked it up. And that was a tough fight. That guy put up a tough fight, but GGG withstood that guy and eventually dismantled him.
There's a problem here. You can't keep. I mean, obviously, Triple G's defense is rubbish. We know it is. He just walks forward and gets punched in the face like Cole Frochler, and that's no good for your career, is it? I just think Canelo will walk him down. He's going to take one too many shots to one too many, and they're going to have to stop the fight. Triple G is a danger to himself in this fight, and he's mad for taking this fight if he thinks he's got a chance. Yeah, he's got no hope of Canelo winning.
Well, don't forget, Canelo ran out of gas against Bivol as well by the seventh.
He did, but Bivol's 6'4". You know, when you fight someone who's 6'4" or 6'3", Bivol's a natural light heavyweight, isn't he? Whereas Canelo is, started his career at super welterweight, as we know.
Well, Gennady is still taller. He's still taller than him. I don't think the weight's going to be a problem. But granted, there is an age difference, and there might be a stamina issue and a speed issue. But he's not fighting the same Canelo he fought 4 years ago.
No, he's not.
He's not. And don't forget, his name can be pronounced Canelo or Clenello.
Yeah.
I believe he's juiced. When I look at him, I think he's juiced. And
in the first fight, yeah, he probably was.
And even since then, I mean,
when did they last fight each other? Was it 4 years ago or 3 years ago?
Who?
Canelo and Triple G. Was it 3 years ago?
It was 4 years ago.
So I believe Canelo is a better fighter than he was 4 years ago.
I don't think he's been as active. He's been fighting the same.
No, but he's a better fighter.
Run over.
We'll see the differences. I might go back and rewatch some of the fights.
Well, watch the last fight they had, which I still think was a draw. Gennady scored more punches and had him on his heels in the 9th round. He cut him. He did take too many shots, I think, to the head, but it's going to be a different strategy. I don't think they could fight. Either fighter can fight with the same strategy this time. What do you think? Well, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I don't know. When we watch, all three of us watch fights, we all have different opinions. I sometimes don't know what. I mean, as a guy who used to do boxing yourself, you notice things that we don't notice. You'll notice. You know what I mean?
You guys notice things. It's just this is if you analyze the last fights that Canelo has fought, his last 8 defenses or whatever it is, he's done the same thing, and he tried to do the same thing with Bivol, and it didn't work.
I think the problem with boxing sometimes is if you're a fan or whatever, some people don't know what they're watching. I watch fights and I'm thinking, what am I watching here? And I'm because my head's been swayed by the commentators, so I have to turn the sound up.
Well, just the volume of punches Canelo threw in that last fight, he hasn't thrown that many punches like that anymore. He doesn't. So whatever, hey, look, he's a great champion. I don't knock that. The thing is, I don't think this will be the same thing. And the fact is, I look at him and I see a guy who's kind of immature in this fight. His state of mind coming off of Bivol and his animosity, about him talking shit. And Golovkin is in a different mindset completely.
Yeah.
So that may play into it too. I mean, he could get his adrenaline boiling in that fight. And then
what mindset do you think GGG has right now?
I think GGG is just being very focused about what he wants to do here. He's not talking shit about anything or anybody. And he doesn't, this is about the end of his career and his legacy.
Even if he loses, it doesn't matter because he's still got the 2 belts at middleweight, isn't he? He's still got the 2 titles there.
I don't think he'll fight much longer, though.
He ain't fighting after this fight.
He may fight a fight in Kazakhstan. One more fight. He might.
Yeah.
To do a Marvin Hagler do and walk away and bitter and take it to the grave. And I hope not.
Well, they have the same judges from the second fight.
But can you see this fight similar to how this rivalry is similar to Sugar Ray Hearn, right? Not Sugar Ray.
Marvin Hagler.
Sort of rivalry, isn't it? It reminds me so much of that. These guys, they're that of our generation, of my generation. For me to see, that's what they are. We've got
exactly the same. but I can understand the comparison.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Leonard was out of the ring for a long time with a bad eye.
3 years, yeah.
This fight with no tune-up, and Hagler had slowed down a lot. But Hagler also toyed with him the first 3 rounds and came out orthodox to show.
But it has been a pleasure watching Triple G over the last 10 years. It's been a pleasure.
Right. What were you
It's been a pleasure watching Canelo as well. I was just saying it's been a pleasure watching both these guys. You won't see guys like this again for a long time.
Well, you
will.
will.
4 years for a rematch. It's the same shit he was doing with the catch weight, making people wait, all that stuff. Anyway, what were you going to say, Spencer? I'm sorry.
I personally, a lot of the criticism that Canelo gets is because the moves that his handlers were making, like Oscar and all of those guys, were responsible for a lot of his career moves early on.
Right.
The people that he fought, when he fought them, how they fought them, all of that is a De La Hoya thing.
Like I said, I take nothing away from him. He's a great champion,
Ever since he's been without De La Hoya, he don't do catch weights. He don't tell nobody that they gotta have rehydration. Like, he hasn't done any of that. He's been fighting the top guy in those divisions since he left Oscar. So, like, I know a lot of, we're not doing it here, but there's a lot of criticism about Canelo, and some of it's fair. He did test dirty, or whatever the case is. I mean, me personally, I'm not a big. It's not a big deal that people use PEDs to me. I think it should not be illegal, but that's a totally different conversation for another topic. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's illegal if they want to use them. Both guys should have the option to use them.
Right. That's what I said. I don't think it should be banned. Because we're telling, this is the sense. We're telling these guys to put their bodies through extreme conditioning and all this other stuff for them to rehab the same way we do when we come from Planet Fitness or something. Like, no, that's not a sensible way to be. These guys got to perform at optimal levels. So them having certain things to aid them, to give them a little bit more oxygen, or give them a little bit more strength, or whatever the case is, I personally don't see anything wrong with it, especially if everybody's able to use it. Now, when you got the thing of some people can't use it, then you got the richer guys able to mass certain things, or the people that make a little bit more money or got better teams, they're able to skate the rules, whereas other people aren't able to do that. If you allow everybody to do it, then everybody can use it. Nobody's able to skate the rules.
They have better chemists.
Yeah, they got the better doctors and all. Like I said, a better team. They got all of the research people. They could know what's the latest way to skirt the drug tests and all of this other stuff.
I don't mind some of these things, because if a guy can heal faster, I'm all for that.
And not for nothing, none of these drugs are miracle drugs. Yeah. Like, you still got to put the work in. Like, you can't inject some drug in your system and then go beat up Tyson Fury just because. You still got to train.
It may give you a little more stamina, make you build muscle, but sometimes muscle is a liability.
Yeah, but like I said, it takes a little bit more. And the talking point is if these guys don't have it in their system, maybe they might have a different performance, but I don't see any drug showing somebody how to jab properly, or how to counter properly, or how to move their feet away from the punch, or how to do a shoulder roll. Like, I don't.
No, what you have to do is watch Vargas and De La Hoya when Vargas was juicing and De La Hoya wasn't, and De La Hoya beat him on boxing. You know how strong he was, the way he was pushing De La Hoya around. But De La Hoya still got it trained. It may give you a little more stamina, make you build muscle. We're on a little delay.
Yeah, I heard that.
Anyway, what do you think about the style, of the way the styles are going to match up now with those variables we talked about?
I think, like Nathan was saying, I think GGG is a little bit more slower. He does get hit a lot. I want to see, like, I've seen Bivol beat him up. Floyd beat him up too, but Bivol really like kind of like put hands on Canelo. I want to see how he's going to respond after the loss, how he reacts, like what he does after the loss. Does he try to prove himself that was just a fluke loss, or he took himself, he took a step too far basically in fighting Bivol, and he's showing everybody I'm still the best at 168 and below. Like I'm not, and like this week with no real footage, I haven't really seen any training footage. I usually try to look at like the little training footage they got and how enthused they look, how they're moving. I didn't get a chance to really see that yet, so I can't really judge if Canelo's looking better this time around than last time around, like that.
Canelo's looking the same. He's training the same. There's nothing different I can see that in his strategy. But I haven't seen GGG really been training, but except for some of the running and whatnot, but nothing.
No in the ring stuff.
No, not too much. No.
Yeah, because I try to like look at that, because then that you could see how a person's looking going into the fight. Sometimes you can gauge that. Again, I think it's Canelo. I'm going with Nathan. Canelo by stoppage, but it's going to be late.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get stopped.
You might have a generous judge and let it go.
Well, so you mean a referee?
Ref. My bad. A generous ref. And because some might, as soon as it depends on the ref, because if he gets clipped with a bad one, if Canelo clips GGG with a bad one and then he attacks him, the ref might step in. But then who knows? GGG's reputation should warrant him a chance to try to fight out of it.
Well, with Canelo, not Canelo, with Triple G, there's an old saying that goes back to the old days. There was once an old dog called Yeller, and it's Canelo's time to get that old dog, take it behind the woodshed and kill it. That's his job.
Yeller. He about to kill old Yeller.
Go to a decision, and Canelo's going to win.
But that old dog.
That's where I'm going. But don't be surprised if GGG gets his own shots in and busts him up.
Yeah, I mean, GGG gonna have to, and I hate to say this, but in order for GGG to really win on the judges' scorecards, he might have to drop Canelo like three or four times, and then he might win a split decision. No.
Oh dear.
All right, I think it's going to go 12 rounds. Canelo wins by decision. We'll see what happens.
All right, Nathan, I just want to say,
we've got the undercard to talk about.
My condolences to your queen. We lost the card last week because of it.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm about to move on to Clarissa and Savannah, if y'all don't mind.
No.
I would like to thank the Queen for 70 years of service, and thank you for what you did for our country, and you colonized our country and raped all these other countries in these other places. So I don't have that much sympathy really. So, and you've got pictures of slaves on your carriages, so I'll leave it there.
Okay, I guess you went down that road. I'm just gonna say Clarissa and Savannah.
Give respect. And this is what he does. He slaps you in the face.
I'm not even gonna tackle that, because that was a big discussion. Like, not everybody sees the queen the same way as some people see her. So there you go. Anyway, Clarissa was supposed to be fighting in the PFL in November. I don't know if they cleared it up, because they had a little bit of a discussion since then. Because this fight, Savannah versus Clarissa, was supposed to happen in July, but I think Savannah got hurt. They postponed it to September. But Shields was still going to fight in the PFL championships in November, even with it being in September. Now that it's pushed back to October, I don't know if she's going to be able to do both. So It's a lot of it's a big sacrifice on Clarissa Shields' part from them postponing it because she won't be able to pursue her other ventures of, the dual combat sport stuff that she's trying to do.
This fight was such a good fight made, and I think Savannah, she had to drop a lot of weight to make the weight, right? I think did she have to drop weight for this?
Yeah. Is a light heavyweight. She's not.
Yeah, I was going to say she's a big girl, so she had to probably drop the pounds, but she's a titleist in this division that they fighting.
Yeah, I don't know how she makes the weight.
But the thing is, this would have been a great fight, and it would have been competitive, and I hope to see it. I hope to see these two in the ring. The card looked great too.
Yeah, with Maya and Baumgartner being the chief support, that was a good one. I kind of like Baumgartner. That when she knocked, was it Harper? When she clipped her and had her knocked out standing up, I was like, she just like that was one of the better looking knockouts I've seen since the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they resurrect this card soon.
Yeah, it's supposed to be October 15th, which is kind of crazy because that's the date Devin Haney's supposed to rematch Kambosos, and that's the date Wilder's fighting Helenius. So,
I would rather see Savannah and Clarissa than Haney because Haney's going to do the same thing to him.
Yeah, I think so too.
The the lightweight division, not the lightweight division. What is Haney? He's a lightweight undisputed champion. Yeah. That division, there's no definitive number one in that division, really, is there? If you look at it, that belt has passed. It's now been passed twice.
Haney should be number one.
Yeah,
because he's the undisputed. He's the undisputed with all the titles, so he should be number one.
We all know that the title has been passed from Kambosos, from what was his name before the guy?
From Lomachenko to Tio to Kambosos, from Kambosos to now Haney.
And then will it be back to Lomachenko? It seems to be a round robin. And I don't think Haney's going to keep all those titles for too long. He'll either vacate them within a year or he'll lose them. I just think there's not that much between the guys.
I think he's moving up after the Kambosos fight. Me personally.
Yeah, he's still young for me. He's won all the 4 titles before he was a finished article, really, if there is such a thing,
Before what?
Haney is not the finished article. He's still developing as a fighter. He hasn't even hit his prime yet.
Listen, I see people on social media criticizing Devin Haney. I'm like, Devin Haney's at his first weight class. He's moving up. A lot of these champions that you see that move up through divisions and win titles in multiple divisions, they don't start out at their first division.
My criticism is he's done it far too quick. He's done it really he's done it super quick.
Yeah, he has it.
He was
right.
Quick.
He became undisputed in his first weight class. Now I think he's going to wind up being like a junior middleweight at 154. He might even reach 160 before it's all said and done.
I don't know.
He hasn't peaked yet. He hasn't even peaked yet. Devin Haney's not even peaked.
Well, here's the way I look at it here. If Devin Haney moves up to junior welterweight, he's got Josh Taylor he can fight, right? He could even fight Tank at 140. Because Davis is the regular lightweight champion, right, in the WBA.
The regular.
Davis, he's the best fighter in that division.
But when was the last time he fought lightweight against what's his name? The Mexican fighter. What was
Marcus Barrios? Barrios.
Yeah. So a junior welterweight, that's a natural move up for him. And then he has Josh Taylor. He could beat him.
Josh Taylor then.
He got those Devin Haney at 140. He has the Cepeda Regis winner he could fight because that would be happening by the time he moves up.
Yeah, they put 10% down on that fight. Yeah.
People forget how young Devin Haney is. The guy's 24. He hasn't even.
Yeah, he could fight Josh after Josh loses to Jack Catterall. He could fight Teofimo. Teofimo's up at 140. He could fight Ramirez. Ramirez is still a popular person at 140. So Devin, he's linked to ESPN. So you got to think he got to fight ESPN fighters. Josh, Ramirez, Zepeda, those type of guys. He might fight
Full top rank.
Yeah, yeah. So those guys, the WBA guy, he's a PBC guy, and the Matthias, the guy fighting for IBF, he's also a PBC guy. So I don't know if Haney's gonna be able to get any one of those guys. Maybe he can, but I don't know. Hold on, guys. Talk. I gotta go do something real quick.
So, Nathan, you know, in terms of Devin Haney, you're right. He's got a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, if he has one or two loss in the next 3 or 4 years, which I think he will possibly have, it will make him a great fighter. You know, I think these guys have been pushed very quickly. You know, it almost feels like Haney's been rushed too quickly. Do you agree?
I don't think so. I mean, I've watched his last few fights and well matched. I mean, definitely handled Kambosos beautifully.
Yeah.
He handled him.
Do you think there's a case in today's boxing that everyone's in a hurry to make boxing stars before they're even ready? If you put, we see it so many times, it's wrong.
Haney has the talent.
Yeah, he always has to. And I saw it.
Guys.
I mean, he first came on my radar three years ago, right? After watching him, I knew this guy was the same as Shakur Stevenson. He's a future, you know, Hall of Fame. These guys, you know. But it's almost like they're being pushed. It's almost like it's too easy to win a world title at times. Because you can just go up a weight, or if you don't fancy, you just go up a weight, you know, vacate. It's almost too easy now, you know.
Right.
Yeah, Haney. Listen, I'm back. Listen, Haney. Are we still on Haney?
Yeah.
Haney, I think. I mean, you know, he. The casual fan might not, you know, be drawn to Haney so much because of his style. Like, he's not a knockout guy. You know, he does the work basically to win. He's definitely serviceable, a good fighter. I think, as I was saying before, he's at his first weight division. When it's all said and done, he'll be at welterweight, maybe junior middleweight before it's over. And for him to start out his career, his first weight division being undisputed, that's Hall of Fame caliber stuff. You know, so, you know, it's just so funny. I see people, you know, saying that Haney might duck Lomachenko after he fights Kambosos by moving up and not giving Lomachenko a shot. I'm like, you know, it's cool, but it's all business too. Lomachenko didn't give Haney the shot when Haney wanted it.
You know, he's outgrown the weight. You could see it even against Kambosos, how much bigger he looked.
Exactly. So for him to try to stay at 130, that's going to be sacrificing a lot for him. It's already him sacrificing a lot, him having to stay at it for the Kambosos fight. But then you asking him to stay at it for another year. I mean, for, you know, another fight after that, which, you know, it's not the best for him. Plus, he's moving up. He might as well, you know, strike while the iron's hot. Lomachenko, in my opinion, greatest fighter as he is, he's not going to show your career something at this moment that fighting the guys at 140 and becoming champ at 140 won't also do.
Yeah. I don't think it's not a big money fight either. I think a big money fight would be him and Tio, or him and Josh Taylor.
Yeah, him and Tio I think him and Tio might be something that might be happening, although I think it might be more of if Josh beats Jack and moves up, that WBO will be vacant. So obviously he could fight for the vacant WBO, Haney, versus Tio possibly. I don't know. Or he could just fight the Regis Zepeda winner if it's Zepeda.
Right.
You know.
But it could be Regis, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Regis and Zepeda, that was a purse bid though that won. They won a purse bid. So I don't know if Regis, I don't think Regis is signed to ESPN in Top Rank. So if he wins, I'm not, you know, Haney still got one more fight under contract with Top Rank. He had the 2 George fights and then one more. That's why everybody's assuming that Bob wants Lomachenko to get the fight so Lomachenko could get a title. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Haney going to move up and Lomachenko going to fight for one of the vacants. And
he can't stay at lightweight much longer. He's just himself. It's no good. He better get up there and get Josh Taylor next. That'll be a great fight.
Yeah, Josh Taylor would be a great fight for him. Might not be the most exciting, but it'd definitely be a great fight for his thing, because Josh is the former Undisputed. It'll be Undisputed versus Undisputed somewhat. So that would be a good one.
And Josh is outgrowing 140 himself.
He's got to move up to 147 too. Supposedly that was part of the issue on why he didn't perform so well in the first Jack fight, because the weight issues and all of this. But
I think he took it too lightly as well. He probably didn't train as hard as he should have.
Yeah, and I think he got that fight was postponed originally. It was supposed to be one time, and then they had to push it back. I'm not sure if Josh got COVID or Jack got COVID. One of them, it had to be pushed back some, because it was originally scheduled for one time and it had to be pushed back. So it could be a case of him not properly training for Jack, taking Jack too lightly, or whatever the case is. But you got to go into this next fight. If weight was an issue last time, it might be an issue this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
in this fight at all,
and then you got the whole thing of you losing 3 titles now since you last fought. So your emotional state might be different.
There's a few fights I wanted to bring up that coming up this weekend. We've got Kevin Lerena against Maris Wack in a 10-round fight.
Okay.
Then we've got there was another heavyweight fight. I can't remember who it was. Makhmedov against Takam, and then you've got some of the undercards. There wasn't a good undercard. There's not many good undercards this weekend.
Who's on the Canelo undercard?
Ali Akhmedov against Gabe Rosado. Jesse Rodriguez Franco against Israel Gonzalez. Kieran Conway, the British middleweight, against Austin Williams. It's not a good card. And then Anthony Herrera's on the card. The same Anthony Herrera, I believe, that lost to Danny Garcia back in the day.
Yeah, because they got to pay Canelo and Triple D $50 million.
I'm paying. How much is it on? Is it free on DAZN in America?
Nah, it's $80.
Do you know how much you have to pay for it?
That free app.
Oh, I don't have that. But yes, it's I think $79.95 in the
You're
States.
not paying for that, because I wouldn't pay that if I was in your company.
They're going to show the Rosado fight on free, but then the Canelo, like, are they only going to show the Canelo for $80?
The card starts at 8 p.m. The card starts.
That will shock you.
Second, the card starts at 8 p.m. on the East Coast, so they probably won't come on until about 11 o'clock, 10:30.
Canelo, yeah.
What are you doing, Nathan?
Showing you the price of the fight. £9.99 in England.
Yeah. They said it was £10 over there.
That's what
I heard that. They said it was going to be £10. It's not your usual 20. What is it that y'all usually pay? $20, £20?
£30 they charge you for PPV in England, which to me is too expensive. £30 is too expensive. £10 is the most I like to pay for one, because I'm a cheap man. You see, I don't like to spend a lot of money on paper.
I like to pay $0.
I'll have to get that active, but I think
I'm never home to watch him, so I got to watch the highlights.
Another thing I wanted to bring was this Conor Benn, not Conor Benn. Conor Benn against Eubank Jr. Did you see the rubbish his dad said? His dad said he was thinking of pulling him out of the fight because he doesn't want to lose another son.
Well, look, I can't argue with him. He lost the son. He's worried about his kids. Yeah. He's a former boxer. He's been near death's door himself.
But we're talking about a man that crippled somebody. We're talking about a man, he ran over somebody when he was driving his car. Nigel Benn is just as guilty. He looked what he did to John. This proves that boxing is, if you cared about your kids, you wouldn't let them box, would you? Let's just make that clear, It is what it is.
So what are we saying? We're knocking him, or we're knocking his son?
I'm not knocking him. I'm just thinking, fancy bringing up your deceased son as an excuse to throw your son out of a fight.
Well, in my opinion, and then Spencer could chime in on this, I think that weight loss to 157 will hurt him, and it looks like
he hasn't made it since he was 18. Did you guys watch The Gloves Are Off?
I think so. I did, yeah. And Eubank Jr. looks fit to me.
He's very fit, and even though he's 8 years older, he's a better fighter than what Conor Benn is. Conor Benn hasn't done anything. He's a talent for the future. He probably will do something at welterweight, but this is the wrong type fight at the wrong time. Eubank just knows too much, too good at this moment in time.
Well, I think I look at it like this: Ben really doesn't have too much to lose outside of the fight.
No, he doesn't.
But as far as the status of where he is, I don't think he has anything to lose. I think it was not the wisest decision Eubank could have made to fight Ben. I understand the name history and the rivalry history and all of that, but they could have waited a year or two for that.
They could
have waited for that to let Ben get a little bit more established. Let Ben maybe get into the junior middleweight division at some point. However, I will add, Eubank is cutting down weight shorter than he's been in his whole professional career, I think.
And he's older.
Yeah.
And he's older. So those are the two things that might favor Ben.
It's all about this.
Yeah. But the problem is in this fight, the only thing that sells this fight is the two dads. They're the ones that they're making money off their father's backs in this fight. That's the only time I'll say that Eubank has made money off his dad's name, and that's in this
promotion. But it's yeah. I mean, I don't think if their fathers were involved with their history, these guys would even be considering fighting each other.
They wouldn't even be fighting each other if they were just two random fighters. Like Conor Benn would just be continuing being a welterweight contender, and Eubank. Look, it's just unfortunate they both got that last name, because otherwise, Conor Benn's going to be a very good fighter.
Now think about that. Too bad Floyd Mayweather's son is not old enough to fight Ricky Hatton's son.
Let's be honest, it just proves that very often the sons are never that good. With Floyd Mayweather's senior son or whatever, Floyd Mayweather, it's a different story.
Grandson's even worse.
Yeah. Oh, like you mean Ali Walsh? Yeah, he could be an exception to that rule. I can make an exception. I think he'll do something in the sport.
He might get better. His I think it's his brother is in the MMA now. Nico Ali Walsh, his brother, is competing in MMA.
But the problem is this Conor Benn fight is being sold off the back, right? So the advantages for me are Conor Benn has his youth, 8 years younger, fresher. Eubank is older, more miles on the clock, but he not a lot for a 32. He's a young 32 in terms of boxing,
Who, Eubank?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eubank 32. That's still prime. He's older, but he's still in his prime.
What I'm saying is, I think in the same period, if you look at the careers, I think Ben, by the time he's 32, he may have won an IBO title or a WBA regular. He'll win something, but it won't. He may win some sort of that.
So he'll basically do what Eubank did.
Yeah. But,
win the IBO, win the WBA World.
7 years behind. So for me, this fight should have been made in two or 3 years' time, not now.
I definitely agree on that one. That Ben
should have been allowed to develop, to win an IBO title, to win a European belt. He hasn't won a British title. He hasn't won any domestic belts apart from the Intercontinental belt. So I'd like to see him win the European, British, IBO sort of stuff at welterweight, and then get a crack at a world title.
I will say though, Ben, whoever's his handlers, they have been recently graduating his fights properly. I think he fought Algieri. Was Algieri his last fight?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Algieri, former world champion. which is probably the biggest status of the guys that he fought. He fought Granados before that, right?
Yeah, he did, and then he fought somebody else, but I can't remember. Chris Van Heerden. Dean was his last fight. Chris Van Heerden.
Okay.
Welterweight. But for me, they have to do it properly. They're not doing it properly. Eddie Hearn seems to be running out of ideas. This is not a way to market your fight. If you want
this is a definite shock from the path that he was going on. This is a definite detour from that. It's like, hey, AJ lost. Maybe he got, Eddie got to make that money somewhere.
That Conor Benn will have his David Haye moment where he loses and he'll come back a better fight. That's what I think will happen.
It's possible.
The junior English weight guy, what's his name? Beefy. I forget his last name.
Liam Smith.
Yeah, he's totally blasting, as being rubbish. And why won't he fight like a contender?
Liam Smith is at the point where he's won the world title. He's already proven himself. He's not elite, but he's world level. So he's won the world title. He's proven. So there's nothing more for me that Liam Smith can do. Really, there's a fight.
No, but he got a point. Like he's talking about Eubank while he's not fighting somebody else, right?
He wouldn't beat you.
About
a little bit better, in my opinion.
Eubank.
He's just too big for him. Whereas Liam is he has a lot of heart. He's a good fighter in the 154 division.
He is.
And he's a world-class fighter. But I just think Eubank's a little bit too big for him. Has too much power for him,
Yeah. I mean, Eubank is bigger than him and fought at heavier weight, so he should be stronger than him.
Yeah. But it's funny between the weights when fighters go up. We've seen it with Roy Jones going up to heavyweight, going back down to light heavyweight, missing cruiserweight, and coming back down to 175. He's never the same fighter, right? You do it too much.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that too many times. It catches up to a fighter sooner or later.
And he did it later on in his career, so it's definitely harder on your body when you're older to try to do that than when you're younger.
What you want about Roy Jones, he's been heavyweight champion. Who else has done that from light heavyweight apart from Moore and some of the other guys,
Well,
Michael Spinks.
Yeah, Michael Spinks.
Michael Moore, what's his name?
Michael Spinks.
Floyd Patterson.
Yeah.
Floyd Patterson was a light heavy, right?
No, he wasn't a light heavyweight world champion.
Championship though.
Oh, okay.
He won the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, he wasn't light heavy champion. Okay.
Fitzsimmons did it years ago. He went up from light heavyweight to heavyweight and won.
But also a lot of those guys, it was light heavyweight to heavyweight. It was no in between fighter like cruiserweight is now. So
Archie Moore was one of the guys that could have won a world title, who was good enough to win a world title.
No, he never won it. He tried. He fought Floyd, he fought Ali, and he fought Marciano. He lost to all of them.
But wasn't he a light heavyweight champion for like 10 years?
He was a great light heavyweight. In fact, he has the second highest knockouts in the history of boxing.
I mean, he was a champion for 10 years, wasn't he?
Well, when you got like 500 fights, like Archie Moore do.
Sometimes they fight 2 fights in the same week,
No, I got it. I'm just saying, like it's an unfair comparison to fighters today because they are nowhere near gonna fight as many times as those guys in the past has fought. Like you lucky if you get a champion fighting 3 times a year.
Well,
those guys have no choice.
Let's say this. There are guys from other countries who have those high records that fight, and they may have a few losses on their career, but they're great fighters.
Yeah, I was mainly talking about like champions. You'll never get like champions fighting more than 3 times, maybe 4 if they're unknown and they're fighting out, away from marketable country or whatever. But it's very rare that you're going to see these guys fighting that many times once they get to the top.
Ali was on a tear for a while before he knew his time was numbered, and so he went on a world tour and just was fighting every 2 months.
Yeah. You got guys like Golovkin when he first became a champ, he was fighting 4 or 5 times a year. but he was fighting in, like
No,
on nondescript cards, and it was low-level fights. I'm not gonna say low-level fights because they was title fights, but they weren't as
low-level title fights.
Competitive.
Yeah, they wasn't as publicized. I was gonna say, like, there wasn't not a lot of people was able to see all these fights. So again, they was low-level fights. They were non-competitive, and it wasn't so much money that he was getting for these fights. Now guys is commanding 7 figures, 8 figures per fight. They're not doing that 4 or 5 times a year. They're not getting that 4 or 5 times a year.
He also made them look non-competitive.
Now, what's the what else is up?
Yeah, there's a few other things I wanted to bring. Let me just find it.
I'm glad damn Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I understand that we've been waiting for a while for these guys to fight, but Errol Spence didn't have all the belts when they would have fought before, so it wouldn't have been for Undisputed. Like he had to beat Brook, he had to beat Porter, and he had to beat Ugas in order to get the 3 titles. If he would have fought Bud before any of those fights, it wouldn't have been for Undisputed. So now we got it.
Yeah, Brook had a belt when they fought. That's right.
Brook had the belt, yeah.
Good. He came back and won it. Oh no, he had the belt and had to drop down and wait.
Right, because he had just fought Triple G, and then he had to defend it against his mandatory Spence. Spence went over to the UK, fought him, and I think it was Cardiff, and maybe it wasn't Cardiff. I don't know.
And Brook put up a good fight.
Yeah, Brook, but it lasted 11 rounds, 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Brook was doing really well in the beginning, but that's that stuff that I might have to worry about with Errol Spence. He's just relentless, yo. He does not stop coming. He does not stop coming. That's the one.
And he had that career-ending car crash. I think he's done well to even be hit.
Yeah. And he looked pretty good since the car crash. So.
And then he attached Retina.
Yeah. He had 2 issues. It caused him the Manny fight, but now he's about to get the Bud fight. So I heard it.
There's another fight I want to talk about that's coming up very soon. Jake Paul will be fighting an actual man who can box in his next fight, Anderson Silva, a man who's beaten the former world champion.
Okay.
Beat Martinez, didn't he? So, what do you guys think of this fight?
I thought he beat what's it called? He didn't beat
Chavez.
He didn't beat Chavez.
No, he did. Yeah, he did.
But didn't he get knocked out in his last fight? Wasn't it?
No. He's won all his fights since. He lost his first fight. Was in 1997.
No, not MMA. I'm talking about boxing.
Yeah, he lost his first fight at MMA. No, at professional boxing. Then he's won his last 3. He beat Martinez and he beat some other guy from a former UFC guy. So that was on the Evander Holyfield, Victor Belfort undercard last year. And Anderson Silva, so he's beaten a former world champion, so he's pretty decent. Yeah. But he's also 50 years old, so.
It'll be his most experienced guy he fought.
You'd expect Jake to win this, wouldn't you, really? I mean, he's quite a bit bigger.
He should.
You're right. He's 3-1.
But
Teixeira beat him.
Yeah, even though he beat.
Was Ortiz he knocked out? That's what it was. It's the other way around.
Even though he beat an ancient Martinez, not Martinez.
Chavez,
yeah. That's still an achievement that he's beaten a former world champion.
Without question, he's
some credibility.
Yeah.
It's not much, but it gives him some.
Well, let's do the hypothetical. Let's say Jake Paul beats him, then what?
That's going to be Jake Paul's best person he beats.
He can actually a little bit of boxing ability.
Kudos to Jake Paul and all of that. But to me, I think it's a minute before he should be discussed with boxers.
But I do believe the way he picks these middle-aged UFC washed-up mixed martial arts fighters is very well done. It's very well
No,
done.
his marketing plan is phenomenal. I'm just saying, like, you know, me personally being a boxing guy, I'm like, yeah, that's well and good, but that's not really like what I'm looking for when I'm looking at fights. I'm not looking to see Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva.
I want to see Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. That's what I want.
I'll see Jake Paul and Sergio Martinez.
Yeah,
Sergio's washed up.
Did he win a couple fights since he been back?
He did. Yeah, he did.
He didn't look good to me.
No, but I think he might still be able to beat Jake Paul.
Oh dear.
It's all entertainment. What can I say? It's entertainment.
Yeah. It's definitely entertainment. I wouldn't mind seeing
Jake Paul because I'm not sure. He's so old now, isn't he? You know.
Wait, Tom, you familiar with football, right?
Pardon me?
You familiar with football, the NFL, and all that, right?
I am. At times I'm not. What's
You
up?
know, Adrian Peterson versus Le'Veon Bell had a fight was it last week?
Man,
And Le'Veon Bell clocked Adrian Peterson.
Left hand and came in the
Yo, he looked pretty good for a guy that's a running back. he looked like he actually tried to train the box.
Well, he was fast.
Yeah.
You know, a lot running backs are usually fast and they have fast hands, right?
Yeah. They gotta switch that ball from one hand to the other when those defenders come in so that they won't get stripped.
Yeah. That was a bad.
But anyway, so what besides Canelo, I think there was another fight coming on this weekend. No, it was a fight that was supposed to be on today.
That got canceled.
It got canceled.
Against Bentley for the British middleweight title.
Oh, so that's part of all of the cancellations from the Queen's passing.
Queen down there, everything's been cancelled. Thank you, Queen, for that. Anyway, so
well, yeah, you had Bentley versus Morrison, and you have tonight. You have though in Montreal, Makhmadov versus.
There was also meant to be Nathan Gorman as well. He was going to be on free TV again.
Yeah, that's on ESPN. You could probably watch that
tonight.
We do have
tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
But we do have Shifat Isufi against Ryan Ford for the WBF light heavyweight title. If anyone cares about that.
Shifat, ain't that the guy that Billy Joe beat for the WBO?
It is, yeah. It's the exact same guy.
Okay.
This is his fourth defense of the WBF title.
Oh, you know what?
We
didn't say anything about, and you would be interested in this. Also tomorrow night is Lyndon Arthur versus Sequeira.
Yeah. I think that's been cancelled, isn't it?
Probably. Where is it going on? No, live on Channel 5. You have a Channel 5 there, right?
Yeah, that's their free TV.
Let me check. That might be cancelled.
Is it in? Wait a minute. Westman Box University of Bolton Stadium. That's in England.
It might be.
Yeah, that's probably.
That might be canceled also.
Yeah. Well, sorry to hear that, but we got some good stuff coming up. We got Stevenson versus Canelo.
Yeah, Shakur coming back on the 30th. Was it 30th?
Oh no, next Friday.
The 23rd.
And next Saturday is Joyce versus Parker.
Right.
Yeah, that's going to go ahead. That fight tomorrow's going to go ahead.
Hughes versus Mayweather's fighting. Mayweather's fighting next week. Mayweather is fighting next week from Japan.
Against who? Is it an exhibition?
Yeah. He don't fight regular fights no more.
Who is it against? Who's he fighting?
Hiroki Asakura.
Is he a proper boxer or is he what is he, a mixed MMA?
I think he might be a kid. Is that part of Rising or something?
It's a what?
There's this promotional company out of Japan called Rising. That the last kickboxer that he fought, it was through them.
Let me have a look.
I don't know, but I don't know who's promoting it, but this guy is a lot better than the last guy he fought. You know, who's a mixed martial artist. This guy has fast hands.
No. This isn't what you think it is.
He's wide open when he throws. So Floyd is going to have to, like, you know, time him with his shots. But he punches hard and he punches fast. He's better than the last Japanese guy he fought for sure.
No, Deji is the brother of KSI, the YouTuber.
That's who he's fighting?
Yeah, Deji.
No,
Deji
he's
is the YouTuber.
fighting Morika Asakura.
No.
It's right here. Yeah, I'm here. Floyd Mayweather Jr. may be retired from boxing, but he hasn't blah, blah, blah. The Hall of Famer is set to engage in another unconventional combat venture when he faces Japanese mixed martial artist Miruku Asakura on September 25th in the headline event of the Rising card.
Okay.
The match
So it is a rising card.
Yeah, you were right. So
He'll win.
this guy is tough, though. This guy is much tougher.
But he's going to beat this guy. You know, he'll beat him.
Because it's boxing. It's boxing. It's not mixed martial arts.
But the guy
maybe will win.
saying his hands are good.
Is the guy what's the guy's weight? Is he a bigger guy than Floyd?
Let me see what his weight is. Hold on. I think they're comparable. Hold on. Let me check. Weight. 145 pounds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so Floyd gonna beat him up. They the same weight. Floyd, I don't think Floyd gonna have issues with a MMA star in boxing if he's at the same weight. Like, in order for you to even give Floyd any, I would say, hassle, so to speak, you might have to outweigh him.
You know, it's funny you say that. I just thought about my drumming and how much I used to practice, you know, day in, day out, day in, day out. Now I'll just warm up a day or two before the gig and make sure everything's working. And then go,
you know, you got this.
Yeah, I know I got it. But I'm not getting hit, so it's a little different. You know? That's the thing. You don't know how his body's going to react after a while. You know, if you don't train enough, how your body.
Right. Once you get hit one time hard, your body might be like, "Wait a minute, it's been a long time since this happened. What are we doing here?"
Too much.
Like, hey, wait, we're supposed to be.
Hold on. Wait a second. Oh, let me hold you.
Wait, we're supposed to be in the yachts right now, Floyd. What are you doing out here in this ring fighting? You're supposed to be retired.
Take that with you as we break. Yeah, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So.
No, this guy hits hard. I saw a few of his fights. He definitely hits hard. So he's got a lot of knockouts on his resume in terms of mixed martial arts with his hands. You know, so I don't know. It'll be entertaining. Where did Nathan go? Did he go to the bathroom?
I think so. He might have went to go fix his food. We've been on it over an hour.
Yeah.
So
minutes almost. Yeah.
Well, that's basically it. We going on next week, right?
Let me see my schedule. I think I should be good next Friday. What's on next Friday? Yeah, probably I'll have to do it from the car, but I'll be able to do it. I lost my earbuds, my Apple AirPod Pros, and I can't find them.
Oh man!
So,
anything else you want to talk about, Nathan?
Yeah, a couple more things. What did you guys hear about? What's his name? I was listening to Sporting Icons. I know Spencer Icons. They did the new rankings. The new rankings this week. Michael Hunter is the Sporting Icons. He's a YouTube
for what
channel.
though? For what division?
Heavyweight division. Michael Hunter is now the #1 contender at the WBA.
What?
The winner of Michael Hunter versus Huey Fury is supposed to be Daniel Dubois mandatory.
He's already #1. I've checked the WBA. He's #1. I'll quickly go through them while I'm here.
The Sporting Icons.
Yeah, he got a video. He got a YouTube channel.
Do it. Well, they also have a website.
Yeah, I don't be messing with him too much. He, to me, he kind of biased against American fighters, especially
Yeah, no,
Wilder and the PBC guys,
Yeah.
like a lot of the British guys are.
not that. Or those
Like,
American attitude fighters.
like,
I just watch it for extra information. And
like,
Boxing Squared is a channel I watch as well. Boxing Squared is very good.
listen, without question, the information that he gives is factual. I'm just like his opinions on certain things I don't agree with. But you know, everybody like he don't agree with my opinion. So who the hell am I? But I'm just like making a statement that, you know, Hatman is another guy. Hatman is another guy that he gives out information, says all of the stuff, but you know, he got his way of interpreting the news that he has.
Yeah.
And I don't always agree with his interpretation of it. Like for years, they got this thing about Wilder was scared to fight Vladimir Klitschko because
I mean, I'll put it to this way: we're not an LDBC fanboy channel. We're not an Italian boxing fanboy channel. We're not a Bronx American fan. Do you understand what I'm saying? We're the most kind of impartial people you get.
Yeah.
I try not to be. No, we're impartial. We don't care where people are from. If we think somebody's a better fighter, we'll say. We're not going to bullshit. We're not going to. Like
the only I try to tell people I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So the only guys that I really hope wins, do I really want to win, is guys from my hometown. Like that, if they're fighting, then I really am rooting. Go ahead, I want him to win. But if it's other than that, like I just want the best fighter to win. Whoever's fighting the best. Whoever fought the best in the night should win. That's how I always feel it, because I don't have any.
My honest opinion of boxing in Britain, we have a lot of belt holders in this country. A lot of people, that's all they're doing is holding the belts. We don't have as many elite fighters as America does. We have world-class fighters, but they're not on the same level. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes in America, they're really good, and then at the bottom, they're not so good. And there's no middle. In Britain, I'd say there's more. You know, in America, like rather elite, or you're not. You know, there's no real in between in America. You know, like there is in England.
You've had a lot of great champions. You have a smaller country, a smaller population. You've had your share of great fighters.
But your country is a conveyor belt of champions.
Well, yes.
We're 5 times the size of the UK.
Also, now you have the Eastern
Bloc.
We
do very well. We do very well. An Eastern Bloc, you know, Europe, like Russia, sort of stuff. All these Kazakhstan countries, they've got some of the best fighters. No. A lot of people don't like to admit it, but it's true.
I mean, they got some good fighters. I'm not going to deny that. It's just that what appears that you see a lot of more people coming out of that area may make you see things differently.
People in America play different sports. Boxing is a minority sport in America, right?
Yeah, but you still got a lot of gyms and facilities and trainers. That's like there's a lot more training facilities, even though they have dwindled over the years. There's a lot more training facilities and stuff like that in America than it is in a lot of other places. So you have more opportunities to
block countries like Moldova. You got these guys. The fact that these guys made to the level they did is you know, is a tribute to them and their country. Like, you know, I mean, coming from nothing, he was born in the old Soviet era, wasn't he? You know.
Yeah, and the fact that a lot of you guys are able, like, through your especially with the Eastern Europeans, through their amateur careers, they're able to see a lot of different styles, because a lot of them fight they have extensive amateur careers. You know, a lot of these European guys. But you got a guy like Lomachenko got like 400 amateur fights.
Yeah, but it has its advantages and its disadvantages, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, you don't see that a lot. Like amateurs in America, like the guys will go for the Olympics. If they don't make the Olympics, they might go pro. They're not gonna like sit around for multiple. It's very rare that you're gonna see guys sitting around for multiple Olympics, being an amateur.
He never went to the Olympics. He never did anything, did he? Amateur. I don't know much about his amateur background. But I know
Who?
that he's Jared Anderson.
Yeah, you got guys that don't have extensive amateur careers that go straight to the pros. So just imagine the ones, and they relatively okay. But then you got guys that fought, like I said, like a lot of the Cubans have to deal with that. They had to fight a lot of amateur fights. They was in the amateur circuit for years,
just to turn pro.
right, before they was able to turn pro. So that's why when you see them, when you see them with 5 fights, they look a lot more refined than you see in another guy with 5 fights, because they've been fighting a lot more. I've seen so many different styles, even though it's amateur, they've dealt with so many different styles already that they're kind of better equipped when they first start out than a lot of these other guys.
Yeah, I think you're selling your country short. You've had a lot of great fighters.
We've got a lot of great fighters. I'm just saying, the fact that we've got as many world champions, I think we got 7, 8 world champions in the males, and in the females probably 5 or 6. I think we do well for a country of our size to produce what we produce.
And historically, you've had Jimmy Wild was one of your greatest fighters to ever live. He has the biggest winning streak of anybody.
Check this out. Isn't the UK the start? Isn't Great Britain the start of the Queensberry rules and all of that stuff that we follow now? So kudos to the UK, because they kind of like what we see now is them part they're doing. So yes.
Yeah. Boxing is always going to thrive in countries where there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of people who are hungry. I think a lot of our athletes now, we do have great boxers now, but a lot of guys who could be great boxers went into other sports like football and basketball.
Yeah, that's what happened. That's what happened to our heavyweights.
Yeah, a lot of guys, but still you have smaller guys and whatnot, or even bigger guys. That's what happened with the heavyweights. But still, a lot of guys now, you give them like if they go pro in baseball or football, they're going to start out making a lot of money, right?
Yeah,
and they're not going to be getting hit in the head as much, So,
yeah.
Although
they don't have to be like just for argument's sake, on a basketball team, there's 12 to 15 people on it, right?
Yes.
That 12th guy might get $1 million a year, whereas the number one guy get like 25 million a year. But they're all well off, and they're not all taking hits to the head and all this other stuff. NFL is a totally different thing, because they getting hits. They getting the CTE conditions after the fact. So football is a very dangerous sport in itself. That's another one of those sports that I don't know if I want my kid playing that. It's so dangerous of a sport.
I think that's more dangerous than boxing, because at least if you have a guy in front of you in football, you get hit from behind, you get a broken neck, you get broken legs, you get all kinds of horrific injuries. Yeah,
you get.
Besides,
all parts of your body could get hurt in boxing. In football.
Right.
Like you're broke. Like they be having people get turf toe and be out for 6 weeks. I don't even know what the hell turf toe is. Personally, I know that's the illness that they be saying people be out from on the NFL injury report, and they be out for a couple of weeks. I'm like, turf toe? What the hell?
Right, guys, I think we're about done. I've got to go to bed now. So,
all right, Nathan, what did you say?
I'm about finished now. I've got to go to bed. So,
you're getting tired. Okay, well, it's been a fun show.
We'll be back
we did 90 minutes today.
Let me just end the broadcast. We'll still talk for a little bit anyway.